Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be sharing an experience that I had a couple days ago, and the Lord wanted me to share it. So I had a very disturbing vision, and it was this hand that was kind of like putting a barcode on my right side of my head. And it was just like a little quick vision, but it bothered me. And I was asking God, I was like, Lord, what is this? I don't like this. And later on that night, I had a dream. And in the dream, I was in this outside area and I was amongst a lot of people. And I don't know if I was socializing or something. But then all of a sudden, I felt this really bad presence behind me. And I felt it more on my right side. So I looked over my right shoulder and I saw this girl, this woman. And she looked like maybe between her 20s, 30s, something like that. And I looked at her and I said, I know who you are. And then after that, I just woke up. And I knew that girl was a witch. So I was like, okay. First, it was the barcode on the side of my head, which was on the right side. And then this girl's on my right side of my shoulder behind me. And she's just staring at me. And so it's like God was telling me, he was saying, he's like, there's a monitoring spirit. There's a witchcraft, a witchery that was sent to monitor you. You know, they want to make sure that you don't advance. They want to make sure that you stay at the level you're at, that you're not growing, that you're not advancing in the kingdom, because they will do anything they can to make sure that they stop that. Right? And it's funny because I was remembering a certain day that I was at church, and the pastor, he went to Turkey to do ministry. And he said he went to this church, and it was weird because there was officers that would go in there and they would count the people. And then he asked somebody, he said, hey, why are they counting people? What are they doing? And they were saying, oh, well, they want to make sure that there's not too many people in this church. They want to make sure that the church doesn't grow. So they're okay with you doing your own beliefs. They're okay with the Christians doing their own thing, but they don't want a lot of people doing it. I was asking God, I was like, okay. I was meditating throughout the day. And then, so God was just, he showed me in Proverbs 15, verse 3. It says, the eyes of the Lord are on every place, keeping watch on the evil and the good. So it's like he was saying, my daughter, don't worry. He says, my eyes are locked on you and on them. He's like, I'm watching over you and I'm making sure they don't harm you. And then he was reminding me of the last video that I did about him giving us the authority. And so he was reminding me, he was telling me, he was saying, I'm giving you the authority right now to fight back. He's like, you don't have to sit there and take it. Fight back. And it was crazy because it's like God was reminding me, because I just happened to look on the calendar and I noticed that it was the Jewish holiday coming up, the holiday Purim. And it's crazy because it's been a while that, God was showing me how important it is to know the Jewish calendar. And at first I didn't understand why, but now it's starting to connect the dots. It's like everything in the spirit is matching up, because then if anybody of you guys know the story of Esther, you know that the enemy wanted to take out the people of God. God used Esther, an orphan girl that nobody would have thought would have became queen. She became queen and she helped Mordecai. He guided her through all these things on how to save her people. And the king loved the queen so much that he gave her the authority, and he gave Mordecai the authority to do what they needed to do to protect themselves, to protect their people. So what he did was he gave his signet ring to Mordecai, and he gave them both authority to make up another law that would allow the godly people, that would allow the Jews to attack and defend themselves against the people who would try to come and harm them. Okay? So because of that, Haman, the one that wanted to take out the Jews, it says that Esther had exposed him to the king, and that the king got so angry that he had Haman hanged on the same gallows that Haman had planned on hanging Mordecai. And it says after that Esther asked the king to have his 10 sons also hanged, because back in those days the sons would come back in revenge. You can't just get rid of evil with one person. You have to take out their whole lineage, so that there's no revenge coming back. So I was being shown also, obviously you got the hanging of Haman, and then the hanging of his 10 sons. If you add that together, that's 11. 11 meaning judgment. There was judgment upon him and his household because of what he was trying to do. He was trying to wipe out the people of God. So, and this, God was telling me to share this with you guys, because I feel like in this time, there's a lot of warfare, and God is revealing that there's monitoring spirits right now. They want to keep track of you. They know that the kingdom of God is rising up, and they are very afraid. Satan sends them on a mission to have you as their assignment, to make sure that you don't grow, that you don't achieve anything, that they somehow, can stop you. But the truth is, God has already given us the authority. So we can fight back. And it's so crazy how I looked on the news and I see how Iran is coming after Israel. And, they're creating these missiles, and it's just everything matches up. Everything matches up. And I understand now. I see what God was doing when he was telling me how important it is for us to go on to learn the Jewish calendar. And not only that, but we need to be for Israel. God is for Israel and for his people. So this has been in history where the enemy has tried it with God's people, with God's anointed. You don't touch God's anointed people. We see a history of, with Moses, where Pharaoh was ordering the death of the firstborn. And what happened after that? God says, oh yeah? Okay, I'm going to flip it on you. Now it's going to be your firstborns that die. And then also what they did with Daniel the prophet. These governors, they were so jealous of him. They went out of their way to set up this law using the king's signet ring again, and trying to set up Daniel. And then in that time, they threw Daniel into the lion's den, but he wasn't harmed. And because of that, once Daniel was taken out of there, those governors were thrown in there, and they were killed. They were eaten up. So it just goes to show you, God doesn't play. God is not playing about his people. He is not playing about his own children. So whoever this was for, I hope this video encouraged you. Thank you for watching. Until the next video.